Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to my channel. This is Aaron, and it's been a while since I've recorded anything. I've wrapped up recently a role playing group. We finished our campaign using Ironsworn rules, and as I was thinking what to do next, all the players kind of needed to take a break, so I basically decided that I would start up a solo campaign. And as I was thinking about what system I wanted to use and what setting, I kept coming back to Tricube Tales, and I kept coming back to the Dark Tower adjacent world in which Russell Miranda adventures in. So I dusted everything off and added a couple new buttons down here at the bottom. And I also decided that no one really needed to see my face, so I put a character sheet there for my for my avatar. Um, so anyway, I'm going to go ahead and kick it right off. It's kind of the intro, and here we go. Russell Miranda pulled his horse, Ensign, to a stop, finally allowing them both to rest. A gallows stood in the castle courtyard. Every time he saw it, Russell thought of Penny House, the woman he'd brought back to hang 2 years ago. The snap of her neck, the creaking rope, her bulging eyes and purple tongue. She deserved it all for what she had done. But did her husband, sobbing on his knees at her swinging feet, bewildered, betrayed, broken, sleeping with vipers like Penny, always comes with a cost. The gallows seemed a permanent addition these days, which meant that Russell thought about Penny House often. It had been his first mission as a gunslinger, a mission his boyhood friend Irving Lowry had not returned from. Russell had been occupied with more traditional tasks these last 2 years, acting as bodyguard to the gentlemen of Gilead, riding the trails in search of renegades, gunning down harriers and muties. There had been a few dark caves and some creepy woods, but nothing like those tunnels left by the old ones in Bone Ridge. The tunnels where Irving and young David House entered the clearing at the end of the path. Hail, gunslinger! Russell looked away from the gallows and down to Felix Kane, now standing next to his horse Ensign. Hyaldin, long days and pleasant nights. Kane stroked Ensign's neck. And to you. Do you need time? Russell swung down from his saddle. No, let's palaver. Kane motioned to a squire who led Ensign away. Russell followed the grizzled commander of the gunslingers to his office. It was neat, though sparse. Kane nodded to a chair for Russell before sitting in his own. Opening a drawer, Kane withdrew a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses. What's your whistle, Russell? Then tell me of your ride. Russell downed the whiskey and shivered with the descending burn. Kane poured him another, and Russell nursed it as he spun his tale. He told of the rustlers he hanged outside of Kingston, of the harriers he gunned down in Birdston. Russell pulled a small notebook from his satchel and slid it across the desk to Kane. Russell took the cigar Kane offered in return. Kane lit his, then Russell's. And the renegades? Russell drew on his cigar and answered through the smoke that billowed from his mouth. Yes, they're out there. I'll set my watch and warrant by it. But by my father's face, I couldn't find them. Only tracks and signs between Lake Soroni and Il Bosque. It's like they had a witchy woman. Russell shook his head and motioned to the book. I've noted the times and the locations of all I saw. Maybe someone wiser can make sense of it. Kane thumbed through the notebook without comment. He took a few long puffs on his cigar as he scanned the pages. Who could read this chicken scratch? We'll have to get our own wizard to figure it out. Russell hung his head, and Kane broke out laughing. It was a strange, macabre sound. Ha 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 ha. Just pulling your nutsack, Cully. You're not the only one to come up empty. Those renegades may well have some glamour man. He waved the book in front of him. This will help. Then he tossed it onto the desk. Kane stared across at Russell, as if taking the younger man's measure. He examined the glowing tip of his cigar for a moment before snuffing it out in the misshapen ashtray made by his young son years ago. It was the only memento Kane allowed of his son, who had been sent west into exile on the day he failed his testing. Good job as always, Russell. You've remembered the face of your father. And I need to lay another burden on you. No rest for the wicked. Kane nodded. Or the righteous. It's the ghostwriter of Tahira. Russell coughed, nearly spitting his cigar onto the desk. I haven't thought about that in a long time, he lied. We've been thinking very hard about it for 2 years. We put our scryers to the task, and it tore their minds away. Wayne Brooks, as strong in the touch as anyone I've ever met. Now he's drooling in the tower. The others? Well, we just need to honor their sacrifice. The Ghost Rider is a tower in the Crimson King's game of castles against Gilead and the White. Russell frowned. Crimson King? Is he the den of the renegades? Not in the way you're thinking. Don't worry about him now. The Ghost Rider of Tahira is growing a hellish warband, and it's traveled far from here. I need you to find it and destroy it. Send it to the clearing, even to the ends of Midworld and Endworld, if you have to. To the beams, to the tower, to Gan's shitbox if needed. Russell stared through the nearby window at the deepening sky outside. He downed the last finger of his whiskey and slid the glass forward. Kane poured some more and put the bottle back in his desk. Russell took a final draw from his cigar and downed the whiskey in a single shot. For the Eld. For Gilead, answered Kane. Russell snuffed out his cigar. Thanks. That's good stuff. Take a few days. See your folks. We'll make sure you're provisioned. You have to go alone this time. Wayne said you'd be far away from affiliation lands. That was before he tried gouging his eyes out. Russell stood. If Ka wills it. True, Gunslinger. Kane stood. So true. The following morning, Russell found Ensign ready to go, and another fine charger, obviously from the stables of Gilead, tied next to him. Cy Kane bade me present Bear to you, Gunslinger, as a gift, said the bondsman, holding the reins of both animals. Russell patted the horse. A fine gift indeed. The bondsman's eyes grew wide for an instant before falling to one knee and putting a fist to his brow. What are... Russell started. And one more, Cy Miranda, came a powerful voice from behind. Russell turned and now faced Alaric Deshane, Din of Gilead, the inner baronies, and the gunslingers. Some styled him the last king of the kingdom of Allworld that was. Behind him stood Jay Deshane, the Miranda family's long-time patron, and Felix Kane. Cy Deshane, Russell saluted. Alaric handed over a box carved with a dragon and rose intertwined on the lid. Open it, Gunslinger. Russell took the box and opened it, revealing two ancient revolvers with sandalwood grips. The sigil of Arthur Eld was engraved along each barrel. Russell stared at them, then up at Alaric Deshane. You are not of the line of Eld, for good or ill, who can say yet. I cannot gift you ownership of such weapons. But what we saw in... Jay cleared his throat from over Alaric's shoulder. Alaric nodded before continuing. But we know you may have to face beings from the beyond, from the prim, from who knows. You will need the power of Eld and Excalibur in the task ahead of you. Keep those guns with your life, Russell Miranda. Return them here with honor, the white over the red. And remember the face of your father. Russell Miranda paused at the top of the ridge, casting a final look at distant Gilead, wondering if Ka would bring him home or send him to the clearing. Either was fine, as long as he remembered the face of his father. That was just a little intro to the campaign, which, in case it's not printed up somewhere on the on the face of the video, is called Other Worlds Than These. One of the strengths, one of the interesting things, one of the reasons I like the TriCube Tales is because it has a lot of those one-page RPG settings, campaign settings. And I thought, given the gunslinger's propensity to travel between different levels of the tower, it might be cool to maybe drop Russell Miranda in some of those places from time to time. So not everything is going to be quite so scripted, though I think I will probably maybe not try to improv so quickly as I interpret oracles and decide what happens. Listening to my old videos, I realized I kind of stuttered a lot trying to figure out what was going on. So as Russell heads south, heads in the direction that Felix Kane told him he needed to go. He doesn't even have an idea how far he needs to go yet, just a general direction. And as he goes, He's going to just have to do gunslinger stuff. He's going to have to travel from town to town, helping out people of the white, helping out those who ask him for succor, strengthening ties with the affiliation, driving off the foemen, the harriers, the muties, all while searching for hints to where he needs to go. He doesn't have a lot of experience with the glamours, but all the tales that he's heard, everything he learned in his training as a gunslinger, left him to believe that it generally can't be trusted. So who can say? Who can say whether Ka will lead him in the right direction or not? He can't. He turns Ensign and Bear back towards the open plains and leaves Gilead behind him. Okay, so I'm going to leave that short little intro episode, and next time, the next one will start his actual adventures. I'll move him around and roll for the oracles. I will be, as before in my previous campaign, which you can find my various solo campaigns on my channel. I have them split up by playlists, but you can find them there. And I will be using the TriCube Tales solo rules as I had before, which I am very fond of. Now you can't see them the way I've got here, but my little NPC generators and adventure generators and Ka Mai, which means cause fool or fortune's fool, those are tables I've built in Roll20 to and expanded to give me ideas, story prompts, and things like that. So anyway, I hope you're as interested as I am in seeing what happens to our wayward gunslinger, to see if he can bring honor to Gilead and remember the face of his father. All right. Happy gaming, everyone. We will see you next time.